One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Welcome back to SciFi And Friends, episode number 79, second remote podcast with my good friend Dustin Berlin, all the way from, I know it's California, but whereabouts are you?
Long Beach, California.
Oh shit, you're at Long Beach.
Yeah.
And you got a new place? A new pad?
I'm loving it. Got a little spot a third of a mile from the beach, and definitely gives you a lot of opportunity to get some sun and run down to the gym or the beach and enjoy some of the nature. Instead of just living here and never going to the beach, like get in there. All the time. People are like, oh yeah, I live next to the beach. Do I even go? No.
It blows my mind. When Josh and I lived out there with Steve and Donna, they lived in County, lived in Fountain Valley, probably got 5 miles from the beach. And they said, well, we haven't been there for 15, 16 years. Like, what?
Wow.
Dude, you live this close. I don't know.
Right here.
I'm a big beach guy. You're a beach guy? Do you like to go swim or what?
I love it. Honestly, I like to swim now. I'm doing a lot of cold exposures. And I'm I don't know if you're watching the sorry, I just had to get my do not disturb on. I watched that Limitless video. I'm sure you've seen it with Chris Hemsworth and the cold and the hot episodes specifically. And, just a little bit of the visual explanation of the benefits for your body. I showed you earlier, but that pool is not heated. And out here in California, we're looking at a 49 degree Fahrenheit. Yep. And so it's a great opportunity to get a cold exposure, 3 to 10 minutes. And I've been learning a lot. I've been doing it for 2 weeks, and I tell you, man, it boosts your dopamine. It builds your tolerance, like social patience. You're just calmer. You're like,
absolutely.
Oh, so you're telling me you're going to have to replace the whole engine and not just a tire? Okay.
Well, thank God that for the cold exposure, I would twist your head off right now.
I would lay your carcass bleeding in the street.
Right.
But yeah, it's interesting. Like it's definitely, I joke about this because I'm like, every guy should send their girlfriend to cold exposure school because they're going to be more patient with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Don't let it build up.
I can't get Kelsey to get in the ice bath. Not even, I was like, just get in for 10 seconds. 10 seconds and you'll be good. That we'll count that as a rep. And she's like,
do you count it as a rep? Do you have a bucket?
Yeah.
Do you have your own barrel?
I have a 100-gallon. It's a livestock trough. So it's something that you put in a field house, but it's 100 gallons. Yeah. I fill it up, and the same thing, kind of the same concept with the pool. I just let the ambient temperature drop it to whatever, and then use it. I also do have it's probably 32 cubic foot or 28 cubic foot deep freeze that I converted into a cold plunge.
Huh.
So it's full, and it's connected to a Bluetooth temperature gauge, and so I can set that to whatever, 38, 42, whatever I want, and then it lets me know on the phone when I'm ready, and I can just jump into this deep freeze. So it's a little redneck.
Oh, that's great.
But it actually works really well.
So is it deep freeze? Is it like a freezer?
Oh yeah, like you put food and stuff, but no.
Yes, I love that. You fill it with water.
Yeah, I had to take.
You should start.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
I just say all I did was I took a bunch of aquarium like caulking or whatever to seal it all up.
Yeah.
And then after that, I painted it white, so it's all. And then it's worked fine. It's actually worked.
That's perfect.
Yeah, it's worked really good.
Huh. So what about if you started what city are you in?
Well, I live in Riverton, Kansas, but we're broadcasting from Joplin, Missouri. So it's all right here together.
Okay. So, I mean, can you just do like, I don't know if it's even popular out there, but can you do like something niche-y, like off the grid cryo farm therapy? Like do your like first, do they have cryo out there yet? Like, is that a big thing yet?
There's a couple spots, but
okay,
where you are in Long Beach, I guarantee they have cryo. They have like the walk-in cryo, right?
Yep.
Like a deep freezer or something. We don't have
right.
I wish we had one of those. We have the ones where you kind of walk into a cylinder and your hands are above and your neck is above, but everything else below blasted with nitrogen, frozen nitrogen.
Yeah.
That's what we have here, which works pretty good. But walk-in ones I think are superior.
I mean, what if you just charge people to come over and jump in your freezer with dry ice and whatever, and then we'll actually seal you in there. So we're not gonna let any part of your body not be completely benefiting from all these.
Well, honestly, I think it would kill. It's just a startup money. I've always wanted to have and then anyone hearing this idea, you can take it and run with it, please, because it'll benefit everybody. But I've always wanted to have like a central location, like for human optimization, so that like CrossFitters could come, martial artists, muscle mommies, and whoever else likes to do that, active stuff. But then you could have cryo chambers. Are you a fan of flotation tanks?
Yeah, I'm actually going to take my friend to one in the next 2 weeks.
Are you going to Crashes in Santa Monica?
No, I haven't researched which one I want to. I want to find the reviews that tell me which one's actually the best.
Okay, so when I was out there, I went to Crash, who was on the road. Okay. He was on Joe Rogan, and he's like a very eccentric character, but kind of not the father of floating, but a huge figure in the isolation floating world. And he's in Santa Monica. He used to be, at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll look that one up. I don't know. I mean, I've been to one before, and I think I went to one where it was a pod. It was dark in there, but it was. I want full isolation. I don't want to be able to hear myself breathe. I want to be fully in the zone. So I don't know if I have to go in with my own mask and earplugs and headphones, but
no,
I want to freak out.
Yeah.
I want the full experience.
Okay, well then go to Crash, because he has rooms, like float rooms. And I'm a big guy. I could do spread eagle, legs and arms spread, and I could not touch the sides unless I move.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that was good. And the first 10 minutes of my first float, I closed the door and I was like, holy shit, no way, way too dark, way too scary. So I actually had the door open for about the first 10 minutes for me. And then I closed it. And it's not like, oh, Bonnie, it's dark and you turn the night light on. It's dark. Dark. No.
Yeah.
Oh, there ain't shit. There ain't no
Yeah.
light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Going to Crash.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'll check that out then. And then I'll report back on my findings, because, I mean, I've been watching about darkness therapy and people going into these full blackout, and then earplugged, everything, laying in a cabin in the woods, whatever. And this girl comes, they were doing multiple hours, but I think they were doing weekends of different parts of these moments where you go into it. Because you got to pee at some point, you know what I mean? So you got to it's gonna be a little rough. You're trying to continue your darkness therapy through your release,
right?
But But she comes out and she gets interviewed right after she steps out of the hut, essentially, and she's got her thing hanging on her neck, and she's just crying, and she's talking about how there's nothing that mushrooms can do that the darkness can't do. They're saying that the value, the depths is in isolating all of the stimuli and sitting with the things that are there in our psyche that we are ignoring or, distracting, avoiding because they're just uncomfortable. And as somebody that I know that loves being uncomfortable and pursuant of the things that you get from pushing through those discomforts, on the other side of that, obviously, is the freedom to be able to get through and to be able to feel the freedom of being able to push through all of what life throws in our way. So I that's the next one. I mean, ayahuasca is definitely on the ticket. I don't have one lined up, but I know it's not presenting itself. Mm-hmm. You know how they say when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Right.
I just, I think I need to put myself in its path. So something I've been reading about and studying for about 4 years now, and I'm ready.
Okay.
So,
well, I can help you with
people have done it, and yeah? Okay, sweet.
So
I don't know how.
Did you follow his journey at all this past year? I think it was my brother, Casey.
No.
Okay.
What happened? No. Sorry.
So a little bit of backstory with him. Around 2020, I think during the pandemic, he got a job at a local brewery as GM. No. As kitchen manager. And for a while, and then they fired. Shit hit the fan. He got fired. He was upset, whatever. Within a week, he was hired at another brewery in town as the GM. And he worked there for a little bit and felt good about it. Then he got fired from that just because of the economy and all that kind of shit. So he was kind of floating around, being lost for a while. Suddenly he just decides, I'm going to go on a pilgrimage. I'm going to walk from Kansas to Boulder, Colorado. And in Boulder, Colorado, I'm going to do a 3-day ayahuasca ceremony. And sure as shit, he did. He started at Wichita, Kansas. He walked all the way to Boulder. Actually, he got picked up by a friend out pretty far into Kansas, and then he took him to Wyoming, and then he walked from Wyoming down into Boulder. So he still walked a lot. And then he did a 3-day ayahuasca ceremony in Boulder. And, you know, we did a 6-hour podcast on it out of this whole journey. Wow. And the last probably 2 or 3 hours, just all ceremony talk. Unbelievable.
Wow.
Really.
Oh, wow. I'll have to tune into that.
Yeah. And so he kind of has a better idea of like how to find a ceremony, how to find a guide, a good group of people. You'll hear him talk about how important the group was. It wasn't so much a personal trip as it was everybody that was there. It was like, we're going to go together. And he said the camaraderie from that group of people and the people that were leading it were just so important. You know, because a lot of people are saying, let's go down to Brazil or Peru and we'll do ayahuasca. And he was saying how important it was, for one, to be able to understand I don't think he would title them shamans, but the guides, the leaders of the ceremony, how important it was to hear them say, you know, hey, it's going to be okay. Just keep working through this. You'll be good. Or giving him little pieces of wisdom versus if you're in the Peruvian jungle and you can't understand this shaman and, you know, there's a giant 3-dimensional boa constrictor that's starting to wrap around your spirit and you're like, oh, yeah, right. Anyway, point is just that my brother kind of has a little bit of a feel for it all. And I think is soon planning to go down to Florida to a place called Soul Quest and do his second ceremony. And I know for sure he's going back to Boulder to be a volunteer for one of the ceremonies soon.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, he loved it enough to get involved.
Oh, for sure. He was transformed by it. I know it was a noticeable transformation when he came back. For me, I'm pretty close to him. Probably one of the closest people. And I could tell something was different.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Energetically, you felt he was lighter energy or?
Yeah. Just lighter, just a lot less reactive to things that before, like for instance, when we picked him up from the airport, I really wanted to get a picture of all of us like picking him up at the airport. Previous Casey would have been like, fuck, you know, you're taking another picture, like, you know. And I told him later on, like, yeah, I really wanted to get a picture at the airport. And he's like, oh, you should have. That would have been cool. I was like,
oh, that's okay. Okay.
Yeah, just a small change, but it was like, okay, that's kind of weird. It's a little different, you know. And so a lot of like that. But if you hear his story, it's quite horrific. Like horrific. Like his pants night.
Well, okay, so like physically and like uncomfortable and like all, yeah. Did he? Yeah, I mean, was it a lot focused on digging up things from his past and?
Yeah, especially the experience of it for sure. I guess the spiritual or the internal experience was a lot of reminiscing or like for instance, there was a story that he told that he was looking up at this like spinning wheel of moments of his life, and he could just spin this wheel all the way back to his birth, all the way up until the day of. He said he couldn't go into the future, but he could go to any part of his life in this like big memory bank, and he could just spin it and go see all these things. I can't remember if he actually chose one, or if Mother Ayahuasca took him to one and said like, you need to deal with this right here. But a lot of stuff like that, making up for past transgressions, even if they were very minute. Some of them were pretty small. Like Casey said, like, why am I here? Like, what am I doing in this memory? Like, I thought we already put this to bed. And then, kind of goes on. He's like, well, I guess there's something, because I'm here and she brought me here. But he also talks about how the medicine builds on itself. And so each night, like the first night, you get adjusted to it, and you're on dieta too. So he hasn't had any salt or meat or alcohol or anything like that for 2 weeks or more. Right? Are you familiar with diet? Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. I know that basic part of the cleanse beforehand.
Right. So he's on that. And then the first night he takes the brew, has a pretty wild trip. Second night, he said, like, every time he would partake in the ceremony, the medicine would build on itself. And so he would just get deeper and deeper. And so he said by that third night, he was ultra deep. And at that point, kind of had figured out how to navigate a little bit in that dimension, if you want to, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
So.
Okay, that's encouraging, because I would want to do multiple nights, to be able to experience that, if that's how the experience goes. Because I mean, there's so much. I would want to be able to. I don't want to be a ship that's completely thrown around by the waves of it. I want to be able to somehow get my groundings and be able to, work with it.
Right, and I think that's where the multiple days come from, because especially if you've never done it before. I think that first night, and some people don't experience anything. He said he had a lady who took, a similar amount of medicine, and she didn't feel a thing. But most people do. Yeah. And that first, he described, for one, his problem was that first night he had a real trouble purging. So he couldn't puke, like just for whatever reason. And then the longer that he couldn't purge, the worse it got. And it just got worse and worse. And, yeah. But I think that was also part of the learning, because he said that there was a point where Mother Ayahuasca was like, okay, time to purge. And he's like, oh, I'm not quite ready. He kind of had a little apprehension to it. And I think he lessened in that way. So, yeah.
Okay. I think I'm going to do great. I love purging. It's a great way to shed a few pounds. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's just,
experience with that, right?
Yeah, tons.
I usually purge because of too much alcohol.
Yeah, there's that version. I mean, I got good at it in high school when I was drinking and throwing up, because there was no limit. It was the more you drank, the cooler you looked. And
absolutely.
The harder you threw up was like, and you could get back up and keep walking. It was this whole egotistical, like, proving ourselves to our society is hilarious. But
well, it reveals a hole in our society, doesn't it? It reveals a large hole to where there isn't very many aspects or avenues, especially for young men, to prove themselves in a manner that is societally acceptable and beneficial to society and the individual. We don't have walkabouts, we don't have any ceremonies that say, hey, boy to man, like yesterday you boy, yesterday, today you man, and have that very clear, like a wedding ceremony is a very clear ceremony, a very clear ritual. They're like, there's a pre-wedding and then there's a post-wedding life and person. But those for women. So you and I probably drank a lot of alcohol to try to prove ourselves. We tried to, a number of things to say, I am a man.
I don't know. I think now for me, I was reading something the other day that just says, when there's no moment of like graduation. It's just, instead of proving it to ourselves, outwork your feels, like build your skills and build yourself to be able to have a list of things that is of value to yourself. You're like, these are the things that I'm great at. And this is what I've accomplished, instead of feeling like, oh, I'm looking for a feeling. Instead, just keep building yourself, like I think feelings they can be so misleading, and they feel a certain way, but it's like when someone buys you a car and they tell you you mean the world to them. That's a really temporary moment. Like the car's going to get crashed and you're going to go through times that are completely devaluing of your partner's not going to it's going to overlook you at some point. And that moment that meant so much to you, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. My life is full. Is going to pass. And so I think, I'm very practical in that way, where it's like, hey, what are the things that you do and continue to sustain for yourself and your partner? I don't know. It's interesting.
Well, it's like internal state of being versus external, right? So if you apply your value to something external, a car or a moment, that, like you said, that car will get wrecked, it'll get sold, it'll go out of style, whatever. But if you attach yourself if you're good internally, if you've done the work, then it doesn't matter what. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. And obviously, those are a little ambiguous, as well. You've heard the farmer thing? His son got his leg broke, and everyone have you heard that story?
No, I don't know this one. Why?
Let me try to remember it.
Okay.
Heine's farmer and his son, and they were working in the fields, and a bunch of horses, like wild horses, showed up, and the son was like, "Oh man, we can get these horses, like we can sell them, and we won't have to like work so hard in the farming fields. This is good, right, Dad? This is good." And Dad's like, "Well, maybe." And then the next day, they find out that the son goes into the horse corral, and he's like starting to break these horses, and he gets bucked off and breaks his leg. And then everyone in the village is like, "Oh man, it's terrible." And they're like, "Your son broke his leg." And he goes, well, maybe. And then the next day, these imperial soldiers show up, and they're like, "Hey, we're at war, and we need every able-bodied boy or young man to join our army." And they overlook his son. He's got a broken leg, and everyone goes, "Hey, that's great. Your son doesn't have to go off to war." And the guy says, "Well, maybe." And it kind of keeps going on like that through the whole story. But it was that, we assign these titles. Good. I got a new car. This is good. Well, maybe.
Yeah.
I would think, I would think like, yeah, that is a good thing. Like, oh, my son is a healthy born and he's very strong and healthy. Like, yeah, I'd say that's probably good. Versus I got a huge tax bill in the mail. Like, yeah, it's probably bad. But it helps to alter your thinking on life events.
Like, don't get too locked into it too quick, and just leaving it more open and leaving it.
Things are usually more than they. We like to do the binary. Yes, no, good, bad.
Right. Yeah. Bad,
good. So, and life is rarely binary like that.
Yeah, rarely ever. I mean, it's always a bunch of shades of different experiences. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. That's right.
I've been leaning on feeling a certain way and realizing I'm more of a feeler than a thinker, and just my strengths. And if I lean into my feeling side as a hairdresser, I'm sensing the client, I'm seeing what's going on with them, and then tapping into things that I can sense, even if I don't know any of the details around it. May it be deep sadness, may it be hope, may it be the different energies that are stirring in someone. And then if I lean into my logic side of it, I miss all of that stuff, and then I'm looking at production, get you in and out, do the things I need to do. And I'm finding that I tend to lean so much more on the feeling side of it. There's a benefit to being more balanced and continuing to have my strengths be my strength, and also let my my challenges be strengthened. So like focusing on those things that that are not as easy. But I think, like, in general, I think what I want to say with this is that our uniqueness makes us popular. Our uniqueness in the world says, oh wow, you're the guy on Instagram that the Asian guy that hooks like clips to his nipples and like spins around and pulls little things out from the beer bottles, and it's like the weirdest shit, dude. I'm telling you, it's the weirdest thing. He'll grab something with his butt cheeks and then like spin, and then it'll be like a beer bottle, and he'll like pull it out, and then it'll be like dun dun, and like that's his thing. So his uniqueness makes him popular.
No.
Who cares about spinning around and taking bottle caps off with your butt cheeks? But this guy is the guy for that. Like, if you're known as that guy, sure, but yeah, your uniqueness is so important. So I don't know. The more that I think about that, so I was a hairdresser that did everything. So straight hair, curly hair, color, everything. And now I've narrowed it down to curly hair, cut and color. And I'm not competing against 90% of the people anymore. Now instead of 10,000 of me, there's 100. And now you can choose one of the 10 in the area, and I'm gonna be one of them. And so for me, when my Yelp reviews are super quality, and all the people that write, that are pouring out their emotions when their passion, and then it specifies you down. So it's like when you have a skill, or you want to be good at something, you use your uniqueness to do that, and you focus in on what you love. I feel like that is the name of the game. Like doing one thing and hearing someone's stories, like getting people's passions out there, like being the speaker for them.
Right.
How you do with podcasts, and it's just, I'm loving it. I'm loving that little notion in life, is being unique and using that to your advantage. Stop competing with people.
Right.
Stop competing with people and be just so good at something that the world can't ignore it.
Right.
So that's what I've been thinking about.
How was your process, going from Dustin the hairdresser to where you are now, which is, it seems like you're in that unique energy, like your own energy, and you've embraced it no matter how scary it is, but you're saying, I'm going to go down this path. Like, what was the process?
I saw the value in it. I saw so there's a financial value. So I'd be on the logic side, and then I have the empathy and emotion side, the feelings. And it's a double for me. Like, I need both. So I always used to say, like you said before we started recording, doing your sidewalk haircuts, which you're referring to, cutting hair on the streets, which I used to do.
Skid Row.
Skid Row. So I started that, just cutting hair in the park, and escaping the Newport Beach, materialistic values, and needing to give back and feed my heart. And through that whole period, I've the phrase just rang true to me. You got to feed your heart and your wallet, because if you ignore one of them will die.
Right. Yeah.
So you'll either be a rich robot asshole, or you'll be a broke hippie lover. And one of those, those characters are not in balance. So if you can balance those a little bit more, your happiness is gonna go up. So so for me now, I went to this curly hair class by Weedod, which is a curly hair company that teaches techniques, and they have products. And I went to their class, and I realized there's this underserved community of curly hair, textured hair, people with textured hair. And I mean, from just a little bit of wave to kinky, curly, tight, almost afro, curl. So I saw how the numbers were crazy. I was like, wow, the numbers are amazing. You limit your clientele down to a certain type of person. That's all you do, and you're amazing at it, and then you're known as the person. So look, you talk to me about Crash. You're like, listen, this is the person to go for deprivation tanks.
Right.
And so I'm going to be another client and paying that guy instead of the next one with a deal. There's going to be somebody down the street going to do it cheaper, faster, or more quality or something. But this guy's the guy. Like, go to this guy. So, I'm going to be one of the active followers of that idea by going there. So, yeah, it was a transition, but and I just slowly started promoting everything that I do as curly hair online, on Instagram, and all of that. And then I would always just talk about it. I was like, this is what I love. And this is why.
Yeah.
And people, So it's good.
So you're proclaiming it, which is really important in a lot of the circles that, I know you're in and I'm in too. But speaking out loud, how you feel, what you're thinking, what you want, there's a fine line there for some woo, right? But but it's powerful. It is very powerful to say,
So when you use the word proclamation, are we talking about a religious terminology, or this is just a general term for sharing?
Okay. It's a general term in a sense. In your example, you were saying, I'm going to be, I'm gonna solely focus on curly hair, and for whatever reason, like you say it and you hear it, and then suddenly your reality starts to shift, no matter how small, but just by being brave, say that.
Yeah, now you're getting. Those terms that you just use are like hinting more at a term that we call manifesting. Actually changing how we see the information in front of us, or the energy waves that you can't visually see, and we say, no, this is what I want my reality to be, or I accept this other reality, which does sound a little woo, but it's accepting something that's more aligned with your thoughts, and then walking into it. I just watched a video, and somebody just like breaks it down into simpler terms and explains it all. I was like, okay, that makes more sense. It doesn't sound as woo, and I can actually, I can try that and like be in that space. And it's one step closer to the manifesting. I'm not there yet. I'm just saying I'm learning more, and I'm understanding it all starts with your thought. So,
absolutely. It is woo, but a lot of things are woo. Like quantum physics is woo, bro.
Super woo.
But it's got a bunch of science and stuff behind it, but still like very strange. There's a quote that says, it was from the creator of Quest bars, or that's what I heard. Do you know? I can't think of Tom something. But he said that this is the calibration system for your mind. And so like when you do that, when you are proclaiming something like I'm going to be a kinder person, I'm going to less reactive. If you say that out loud, like you are literally calibrating your system, slowly reprogramming, your thoughts or your behaviors, reconstructing the neural pathways in your mind just by speaking it, which is I think is extremely powerful and a technique that most people overlook because it's silly. I don't want to say that out loud. That's silly. I don't want to look like a fool. Or I don't, to myself, it's like, say, how many times you tell people, like, just say this in the mirror to yourself, like, I love you, you're beautiful, you're worthy. Like, that's weird. I don't want to even say that to myself. I'm embarrassed to do that, which, guilty. I've had that thought, I don't want to do this. This is embarrassing.
Right. But it seems weak.
It seems silly. I keep saying that word, but it just seems like, what kind of game am I playing? What kind of strange... Why am I doing this? What's this going to change? And ironically, it'll change everything. But it's hard to get in that mindset sometimes.
We're so what?
Go.
Okay, I'll go first, and then we are so in our infantile stage of being aware of how to program ourselves. Like, we're driving Ferraris and we only are in first gear, and we're all driving around town in first gear being like, yeah, I fucking love my Ferrari. I learned how to work out, and I learned how to do cold plunges.
Yeah.
But really, we could do we could do transcendental meditation and be like, oh, I'm actually on another planet. I'm actually doing work over there right now, and now I'm back in this physical state for the next 80 years, and then I'm going to go to my next location, or I don't even know. You know what I mean? Like, what realities are actually happening versus what we know is crazy. We're like babies.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I personally, I think this is one of many lifetimes that we're living through. And I think once I die and go through another one, I mean, who's to say I haven't gone through so many before? I think so as well. But I just think that even lifetimes doesn't make sense. It just is more of like, oh, cool, you're in this kind of like loop for a while, and then you kind of like, you learn these things. I mean, all of the, Arcturians from different, or star seeds from different galaxies, like, there's a lot. I don't know what I think about all of it, but it's, I think about it a lot. I look at people and I'm like, yo, you're in this little meat suit, and you want your meat suit to look so good so that you feel better about your human brain ego that's just surviving. I'm like, what about all the other important stuff? Like, what? So I don't know. I trip out about it, and I would love to tap back into life in 500 years, 1,000 years, and be like, where are we at? Like, where are we evolving or devolving? So it makes me want to study and meditate and just be in that zone, which I've been doing recently. So I don't know. Anyway, did I make you lose your thought?
I have no idea. It's long.
Yeah.
It's how conversations work, What meditation practice do you do? I see you gave me I saw 2 yoga mats. So
yeah, those are just for show. I like to bring girls over so they think that I stretch, but I'm really inflexible.
No,
I can only move my pelvis forward and back. So like, imagine that's all you get, like, think of nothing interesting, but you're just going to get a basic machine. No, I'm just kidding. I'm messing around.
Down dog, you go into down dog, and I will do the hip thrust.
And I go to work. So just hang out. I hope your wrists are solid.
But the beach is like 2 minutes that way.
In fact, you can hang out and look at the bar while we work.
So much.
It's bad.
Don't watch.
Probably delete this out of the podcast, but
yeah, Dustin's yoga studio. I'm gonna do free marketing for your place, dude.
Yes, please. We only employ heavily meditated yogis that are have beautiful meat suits. No, what I want to share, I brought the kettlebells out today. I mean, they're always there, but then I got the padded kettlebell that you can throw at your workout partner, and just it fires them up. It gets them really excited.
How heavy is it?
No, it's a 35.
And
I'm joking about throwing it at each other. No, I'm fucking around. But if you
kettlebells.
You're like, whoa. Kill bills. They literally kill you.
Yeah.
I've been doing this all wrong. I bought this ape one with a big ape face, and I thought I was supposed to work out with it. I actually kill people with it. Oh, sorry. Do you still use that one?
Oh, yeah. And I got Sasquatch.
Oh, yeah.
I got gorillas, Sasquatch, chimpanzee. I think that's it.
Love it. I love it. You're passionate about your equipment, like all of your what's the one, the ball on a cord, or on the
mace,
a stick?
The mace,
excuse me. The ball on a stick. God, you fired me for that.
Well, no, that's how it started. Was like ancient Indian wrestlers would take a big stick and a big rock and tie it together, and then they started doing that. And then throughout time, they perfected it with metal and stuff. But yeah, back in the day, it was a stick and rock.
Okay. Well, we got a stick and a rock. But no, meditation include like my moving. So my moving meditation is number one. So that's yoga. or fitness that I can get into a zone. I don't really count the gym. I would count running. Also, I love talk about a moving meditation that I can get lost in is a little bit of mushrooms and go to the gym. It is my favorite thing. I'm taking like 0.5 cubenzas, and then I go out into the yard. Like we have a side yard in the alleyway in the gym.
Yeah.
It's got AstroTurf and like Olympic lift area and different things. And so I'm doing a lot of body weight things or presses, and I'm just kind of like in my flow state where I'm everything's expanded and kind of looser feeling when I have mushrooms in my system, and doing a workout where I'm pressing and doing that, and then getting back to like flow. And what I'm really interested in right now is animal yoga. I love it. It's flexibility, strength, and it's a dance. It's like this movement and it's expression. So if you do it with music, I'll send you a video on it later. It's people think about like you're in down dog, and then you like flip a leg over, up and over, and then you like tap that foot down, and then you like draw the flip the body back around, and you're moving and you're coming down low to the ground, and then you're like, and there's a lot of like, it's like breakdancing slowed down with a very snake-like or animalistic type postures built in. So you have down dog, right? That's straight arms, straight legs. Yeah. And then you have beast, where that's crouched knees, straight arms. So now you're back on the back, like ready to pounce. You're ready to jump. Yeah. And so from there, you can either jump into crow, crow pose, hands only, knees are up. And so there's linking these things is like this ultimate dance flow where you're constantly holding and squeezing your body in different ways. That is incredible. So I've just been practicing the basics. It's called animal yoga. I didn't coin that. It's just it's a flow. Yeah.
Like yoga with goats or something. Yeah.
You know what? People have said that. I'm like, hell no.
That's what I thought.
Fuck your goats.
That's for yoga class.
Fuck your goats. No, I will sign up for your cryo deep freezer country freezer, but I will not come let your goat pee on me. No, I'm good. Thank you. Well, appreciate you.
You have all your chakras open, and this goat is pissing on you.
Yeah, I'm so excited about
that. That is, I've never heard of animal yoga. I think that would be really fun, and I think it would translate really well to jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, the flexibility and strength and being able to move your body in ways and control it. Instead of these classic, it's so caveman to be like, I'm going to sit under a bench press and pop, pop, pop. And I'm like, when is that useful? When you're trapped under a car? Like, I can't think of a scenario that happens to me. Or my favorite thing, Colton, when you're at the gym, you're like, oh, cool, like amazing body. Or you see somebody that's just jacked or something. I'm like, hey, so what are you training for?
Right.
And they're like, I'm just working out. I'm like, in my mind, I say this shit all the time. I'm like, God, we're all training for something that we can't use. We're just walking around less mobile and looking so pumped up. And, it's funny to me. Yeah. Looks good. Looks great.
Very inefficient. Looking.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of work so that we can look a certain way. Time, we're spending so much time on the bench press, on the whatever. I love how you work out because it's functional. You're using things that actually do, and I'm actually just getting into the kettlebell workouts, moving them and like getting into different movements. And I have a lot to learn. But yeah, we'll get back to meditation in a second, but also functional movements. And stretching, like using your knees on both sides, like dropping your knees to both sides while you're seated, and just like opening up the joints. It keeps us from breaking. It gives us more ability. And then when you go to a festival and you can dance like a snake and you're fucking wiggling around on the floor and fucking doing shit, they're like, I don't know what he's on, but give me some of that. So
yeah, little animal yoga right in the mosh pit.
Exactly. Literally.
Come a snake.
Come a snake. Okay, but Colton, I did a capoeira class.
Dude, did you really?
Dude, I had never. I've always seen it and I always thought, damn, that was pretty cool. These guys are breakdancing and then kicking each other in the face. Like, wow. Yeah. You're literally jumping, jousting back and forth. And then you just do a cartwheel while you keep your eyes on the opponent. And they teach you to do a slow motion cartwheel. You're in your ass and your obliques and like everything from your knees to your belly button. It's like I couldn't move the next day.
Whoa.
You're doing a cartwheel and you're like, keep your eyes on each other and you're both doing a cartwheel at the same time. And then you do a slow motion kick and the other person like slides out of it. But you're lingering your leg up for so long. I'm telling you, like your ass will be torched after that first class.
Very like, but type, right?
Yeah, it's all body weight. Yep. And it's like, it's so funny to be in a room again. Cause I did Taekwondo when I was a kid. Like our family did that. I don't know. It's like a community thing. It's very unuseful on street fighting, but, yeah. Taekwondo, like square block. Like that's going to be useful.
Some of those flips are really good though.
Yeah. I mean, if your opponent's already on the ground and you want to break their face, you throw an axe kick with a straight leg into their jawbone. That's going to hurt. But
the rest in Columbus, Kansas, he's a black belt in Taekwondo. And so I've been training him like about once a week, maybe even less than once a week. I can get in, but I like it, dude, because it translates really well to MMA. Because you're either doing
really?
Well, if you do MMA, you're either going to do Muay Thai or Taekwondo. Like you're going to fall into one of those camps. And really, the biggest is that Muay Thai, like when you kick, it comes to the side that you can throw from the side, and it's more of a wider kick. But then with Taekwondo,
straight up,
yeah. Then you turn it and kick, It's always that, what do they call that? You lock the leg or you load the leg. You chamber the leg. Like your knee comes up to your chest and then you choose, like, what are you going to do? You're going to do a front side kick. Yeah, exactly.
Inside crescent, outside crescent.
Yeah,
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's flaws or it's setbacks or whatever. It's really ancient, traditional type of martial art. And if someone kicks you to the ground, you're not going to kick them. But it's right. I do think it is beneficial in its own right, for sure.
Huh. Cool. I didn't know you were doing that. That's rad. You're always doing something new. I love that about you. You're not like, you don't get pigeonholed into one thing and you're just locked into it. You have your basics things that you're consistent with, but then you play with all these different interests. And following you on social media has always been fun over the years, man. It's like always something interesting.
Yeah.
It's sprinkling in your comedy and your playfulness is always fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah. I'm glad you've enjoyed it. Yeah. At least he's watching, because usually I'm just making it for myself. I'm just laughing my ass off. Like, well, I guess I'll post that.
I'm glad you do. Cause man, I'm over here like, it's fun when you know the person too, and then you get to see them do their thing. It's a completely different experience. So, yeah.
Have you participated in any breath work? I feel like you'd be a breath work kind of guy.
You know what? This morning, I made the decision to learn what Wim Hof has done and get into it. I've done one breathwork class. Kind of felt a little high from it. I don't feel like I got it. And
on his breath work, dude.
It all counts as breath work.
Did you hear what I said?
I'm doing it right. Wait, what'd you say?
I said bong rips don't count as breath work.
Oh, well, I mean, come on. We're filling the lungs and holding as much. I can hold it all in there.
I believe. Did you take a class? Breathwork class?
Yeah, I took a class, and it was just fully spiritual, and I was kind of, I don't know, it was cool. It was very spiritual. I would like to have had maybe more of the practical. I don't know. I gotta revisit for more details, But
Well,
have you done it?
Yeah. And in fact, Wim Hof is kind of the guy that I follow to participate in the breath work. He has an app that's on my phone or whatever I think I pay $4 a month. And then you can have, like, you can program, like, I want to do 4 rounds of 40 breaths and then, you know, the hold or whatever. And the cool thing is, I think this is cool, like, it syncs up with your Apple Watch. And so it'll tell you like, how long you've held your breath, your heart rate. So that's a big thing with the breathing technique, is that your heart rate goes way high. Like when you are, if you're doing 40 breaths and you're on 38, 39, I bet you my heart rate can be anywhere from, you know, 110 to 140, just because I'm just breathing over and over again. And as soon as you hold that, you take that and you hold it for as long as you can, your heart rate plummets from 120 or wherever, 130. I've seen it go to 78, 65, you know, way down within a few seconds. Because I think this is what Wim is trying to teach you, is that you do have control over things like your heartbeat. You can shift your consciousness to a thing that is mostly subconscious and control it whenever you need to. So if you're going to give a big speech in front of a bunch of people and your heart rate's going and you've practiced the breathing techniques, you can just kind of do a little session and control that heart rate and just bring it down and calm yourself. I think that's what it's about for sure. But yeah, if you are studying Wim Hof, you're going in the right direction, because he is
Yeah. Did you ever see Rex? It's Dirt Nasty, but like Rex. I don't know his name. He's a comedian. He's a social media presence. He's kind of looks like a Santa Monica burnout, like a trust funder burnout. But he was studying. He was studying under him, and he, you know, it was all comedy until it was all about breathing, you know, and his social media changed. But I'm getting into that this week. Okay, so can I ask you then, where would you start me? Would you go on his website? Would you take his seminar? Would you just start watching his YouTubes?
I would hop on his social. If he has a TikTok, I'm sure he does, TikTok or Instagram. Flip through his video, kind of see what he's about. Yeah. He'll give his opinion on, you know, where to start, because he's a big cold therapy guy, right?
Yeah.
How familiar are you with Wim Hof?
I know he's into breathing, cold. He talks about controlling your body temperature with your mind. That's a pretty lofty one. I haven't studied his techniques.
Okay. Yeah. So that's pretty much, they call him the Iceman or whatever, because he can literally sits in ice for hours and his body temperature doesn't change. Which, you know, there's like these studies or these, I don't even know if they're confirmed, but I've seen like old images of these monks in the mountains that would sit in snow. They would sit, you know, pretty much naked in the snow. And they would go through they call it Tulum, I believe, Tulum breathing, which is the Wim Hof method basically. And they would melt snow around them by increasing their body temperature. I don't know.
Okay, that's a video we got to shoot.
We might as well try. And that's another thing with Wim, because like I remember the first time I heard Wim on Joe Rogan, and I thought, this guy is he's a total charlatan.
Yeah,
I could barely understand him because he was just so excited and talking so fast. And then the more I listened, and then the more he's like, yeah, science backed it up. I've literally been in a research institute where they jabbed me with E. coli, which should make me sick, but they jabbed me, I breathe, I turn on my immune system, and I don't get sick. All the other participants got sick. He did not. So then they say, can you teach somebody else? So then he takes like 3 or 4 random people, teaches them how to do it, and they do it too. All under these scientists watching and recording. Yeah. So the more and more that happened, the more I'm like, okay, this guy is for real. And that's kind of when I started doing things with him. So I would check his social media out, up on Instagram. He posts quite a bit. And I would download his app, because I think you can for free for, a week or two.
Yeah.
And that little timer that they've made is so helpful because you can turn his voice on, and so he'll be like, breathe in, breathe out, and you can just follow his cadence, and you know exactly where you are in the breath work. And then you'll hit your 30 or 40, whatever you said of that, and he goes, big breath out and hold, and then it times you.
Yeah.
So you can actually timer, and you'll do 3 or 4 sessions of that, and it'll break all that down and put it in a nice little graph for you. So you do it every day. You'll see a progression over time. In fact, my father, which I just mentioned him, Wim Hof, to my father-in-law, like while we were, I was like, yeah, Wim, he holds his breath and climbs Mount Everest in his shorts. 2 weeks later, my father-in-law calls me. He's like, I can hold my breath for 5 minutes. I'm like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, I've been doing that Wim Hof me about. I'm like, did I say something about Wim Hof to you? He practices it. Like, he uses it quite a bit.
Wow. That's cool to have a parent that is, willing to pick up the bits of value and then go and then expand on it. That's so cool.
It was, like I said, it was just like a passing comment, like, ooh, this guy's really cool. And the next thing I know, he's on the sofa.
What's he do? What's your dad's career? What did he do most of?
Father-in-law. It's my wife's dad.
Okay.
And he's retired. So he used to work at a roof particle factory.
Roofing company.
Roofing, yeah. They would make the tiles or whatever. And one day he was shoveling asphalt or whatever the substance is to make roof stuff, and blew his back out. And then when he had surgery, the doctor snipped some nerves and like made it worse. So he is on disability and doesn't work anymore. He takes care of the grandkids, and he's got a shop, and he tinkers on all his projects and whatnot. But he is literally on a lot of pain medicine 24/7. He's a lot better than he was. Like he's kind of learned how to manage it. But man, back in the he was blasted on pharmaceutical stuff. But I even said that Wim Hof the method has helped him negotiate some of that pain and upped his pain tolerance, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, wow. I mean, I would think Wim Hof would. Just any self-medicating meditation is going to be so beneficial for somebody like that. Yeah. Anyway,
for regular, healthy guys like us too.
Yeah.
One of the jiu-jitsu is breath work. When you're getting smashed by a 240-pound black belt and you just can't see and you can't think and you can't breathe, but you kind of go back into the training that you've had and just calm down, catch your breath. Like, where are you? Okay, you're on bottom. What's the next step? Turn to the side. Okay, what's the next step? All right, what's he doing? I feel like that sets me apart more than anything else I've done, more than the kettlebells, more than the yoga, more than anything is the breath work, because of how powerful it is for the mentality of that.
That's so cool. Okay, I'm inspired. I'm going to come back for episode 2. And
I'd love to hear.
You only hear me. You won't be able to see me. You'll just hear the breathing. You'll feel the energy.
Is it? I need to be Wim Hof, or is this one of Berlin's yoga studio sessions?
It's actually Power Lamaze. It's a birthing breath program. Yeah. Okay. How about this? What if we did a podcast in an ice bath and just say, hey, look, I need to get at least 20 minutes with you, 30 minutes for a real good podcast. Like, if you're willing to jump in the ice and finish the podcast, we're going to send you out a nice little gold star to Long Beach or whatever you need. How cool would that be if you started interviewing people doing the work?
That's cool. That's a good idea. That'd be would be cool for content, for little
for content.
Instagram.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, what is Instagram up to? A minute now?
Something like that. Yeah. The reel, I think the reel's longer. I think you can do
5, something like that.
Go up to an hour.
Wow.
Maybe not. I don't know. I don't know why I said that.
Okay.
Let's see.
Okay, I love the instant backpack.
Well, I just got some. I guess.
It's like an hour, man. You can do it for 24 hours. It's crazy.
Well, it's a good idea, honestly. I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with Hot Ones, where they eat the hot wings, and then they do an interview.
Oh, and then they like keep eating and see how.
So they start at, one chicken wing in a mild, probably not even hot sauce, and they eat it. And while they're eating it, this guy is interviewing them, and so
oh god, that's entertaining.
It kind of is, because as they get into the severity.
No, yeah. Ghost pepper, and then you watch somebody's face melt, and you're like, oh well, there he goes.
Right, and so it's kind of a silly concept, they're like, so tell us about your acting career, and he's sweaty and his eyes are bloodshot, and he's just breathe. I don't know, it's entertaining, but I feel like that's kind of how the ice bath would go. It's like, so how's your breath work going? It's like, pretty good.
So tell me about something. Dustin, relax a little. Don't be nervous. Okay, don't be nervous. Relax. Tell me something.
Dude, the other night I had the phone up and the tripod or whatever, and I hopped into the ice bath, and dude, the ice was like 4 inches thick. It was ridiculous. And I hop in, and I'm like, I'm gonna talk to the viewers. So I'm like, oh, it's cold. I'm glad I hopped in. I can't talk anymore. I said that. I was like, I'm done talking. I cannot think straight. Like, all I can do right now is breathe and focus on not getting out of the ice.
Yeah.
I can't give you commentary. Like, everything came down. My brain is like, fuck everything. Yeah. We got to keep live.
Yeah. 100%.
So
that might not work so well, but all right.
Just how cold the water. If it's 50, we can do it. We can do it for an hour. That's no problem. If it's 33, we have a problem.
Right in the camera. We have a problem.
30s are no joke, dude.
So I see a lot of people doing it, and they have the ice floating there. So is there a range where the people usually try to shoot for, like, 40s, 30s? Like, what's your experience with that?
Yeah, I think so. I think anywhere from, are you familiar with Dr. Andrew Huberman?
Yeah.
Okay, so he talks a lot about ice baths and cold exposure. And one thing he'll say is, people will ask, like, what temperature am I looking for? He says, look for the temperature that's optimal to you. That's challenging, but not impossible. Because if I took somebody that's never done an ice bath and I made them get in, the 4-inch thick ice bath the other night, that's 33 degrees. It's not going to work. It's just going to be too much. But if we crank it to 50 degrees, which is cold, it's uncomfortably cold. A novice can sit in 50-degree water and control the mind and say, I'm not getting out for a minute. I'm going to stay in here for a minute. Like, you can do it. I mean, people can. Then start to work your way down. Because what Huberman will say is, every time that you feel that impulse to get out, that's a rep. Like, once you work past it, you'll feel this impulse of, get the fuck out of here. You work past it, and then you kind of get to this place of, no, I'm good. That's a rep, and it might just be in a row. It might be, I want out, I'm good. I want out, I'm good.
Yeah.
Or it might be a little bit. It might, 30 seconds might roll around and you say, I want out, you work past it, and it doesn't come back for another minute or so, But he'll say that's a rep. But yeah, my personal experience, 40s is plenty cold. 40s is plenty cold. If you're going for multiple minutes. I think I did 3 minutes at 43 degrees. And on the 3-minute mark, I've told many people this, it turned psychedelic for me. Like my mind, it was like a breakthrough or something weird, It was a very strange phenomenon at 3 minutes.
Huh.
Yeah.
What you mean psychedelic? Were you getting echoey feelings? You're getting visuals? Were you getting, just psychological distortions?
It felt like a breakthrough. That's how I could explain it. So the first minute was no problem. It's like, wow, this is cold, but I've been here before. This is no problem. 2 minutes was like, okay, this is cold. My body's hurting. Like it stings, but I'm still good. 2 minutes, 30 seconds. My body is like, eject. This is stupid. Let's get out. I mean, every head is just, going crazy. And I'm like, I'm not moving. It's like I'm fighting someone in my mind for the controls. And I'm like, no, we're not getting out. Like, we're going to die. Or we're going to die. We're going to stay in here.
Wow.
And then at 3 minutes, just was like you flew through a cloud, a thunderstorm cloud, and then you came out and then you see the sunset or something. It was just like, it was a literal breakthrough of, I guess, discipline.
Wow.
Because I stayed there and then I felt in control. And then I got out because it was cold.
Of course. Okay. Wow. Okay, cool. I got some things to look forward to because I'm doing the pool's 49, and I've been in there for 10 minutes or whatever, but getting in. Yeah. Now, okay. So there's different levels, different things that I'm looking forward to. So maybe, getting that ice in there. Okay, cool.
I think mine's a great temperature. It's cold. It's uncomfortable. And honestly, and said you only need 11 minutes per week to hit the 400% dopamine increase. So if you're doing it for 10 time, I mean, you're overkilling, which is great. Like, keep that up.
Okay. So then have you heard about any fatigue, like adrenal fatigue through this? Because I'm on a tear right now. I'm on 2 weeks of cold exposures and full power at the gym. So 6 days a week in the gym, a full body training class or, something that's really pushing me. And then also cold dips. I've done 85% of the week of this 2 weeks. I've had at least a cold dip once a day. So, and I'm feeling, I almost was feeling adrenaline fatigue because I'd be amped up, cool. I'd take a shower and then go right to work, and I was flying. And I also take some ashwagandha, throw that out there. So taking a little ashwagandha, boom, I get to work. I am feeling invincible. I feel like Thor for 2.5, 3 hours, and then I am so sleepy. I am like, I just feel blah. Like I feel like I'm not excited. It's like people that drink have this relation to a hangover that you just have to keep working through, and you're just like, just here, and I want, is there an adrenaline fatigue that's attached to these sorts of practices?
I am not sure, but the first thing that comes to my mind when you describe that is blood sugar. Like, what are you eating?
Okay.
Are you eating a lot of carbs?
No, I'm eating like meat and I'm like eggs and bacon in the morning, something solid like that, and then no.
Okay. Well, how's your sleep? I mean, are you sleeping? Would you say you got good sleep?
Decent. Decent sleep. But the cold exposures, dude, the cold exposures are getting me up earlier. I don't know how that works, but I'm getting tired around 10. I'm waking up at 6:45, 6:30, and either getting up or checking the sunrise and snoozing another hour or whatever. And but it's changing how I'm sleeping too. So I don't know. I'm still trying to like even out my wave pattern and see how it's all affecting me, but it feels better all in all. I was just wondering, I'm like, maybe did I go too hard right away?
Maybe so. That's a lot to, go from not doing anything, suddenly every day a pool, and it might be just your sleep pattern is just shifting a little bit too. Yeah. You might supplement. You might try supplementing too in the afternoon. Maybe get some
meth.
I don't recommend it, but I mean, if you can find some.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I'll put the little label on the bottle that says Adderall if you guys are more comfortable with that.
Okay, we're gonna move one carbon to the left.
Yeah.
No, like you ever had bulletproof coffee or caveman coffee?
I haven't had it in a while, but yeah.
I wonder if
I
something like a bunch of good fat, medium
yeah.
chain, right? The MCT type stuff,
Yep.
right around that midday mark. You might try that with
Oh, that'd be great actually at work. That's great. Okay. Okay.
that. What I would do, because I've obviously experienced that too, where 1 o'clock rolls around, 2 o'clock rolls around, and I might as well just be dead because I'm not getting anything
Yeah.
done. But I,
Yeah.
from experience, it's always been that my blood sugar is all crazy. I had pancakes for breakfast or something strange, and then once I started doing the intermittent fasting, a little bit of keto, a little bit of carnivore, kind of it's more paleo than anything. That stuff kind of just goes away for me. It
Yeah.
stays consistent. I
Okay.
also
You also what?
I said I also do meth, so
Oh
maybe that
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I might throw the system off slightly, but
right.
okay. Cool. Yeah, so I got some homework and I'll come back for round two and we'll revisit some numbers and things that I can. Yeah, I'll definitely be studying up on Wim Hof and using those practices. To answer your question briefly, you said about what are my meditation practices, but actually sitting and getting up in the morning right before your brain's fully conscious and you're in that state where you're able to tap in more in that other dimension, call it spiritual level or I don't know, whatever. Um, Getting into just getting right up and then sitting, in a upright position and just being. I don't no sound or anything like that. I don't really like the guided meditations. I think those are good in the beginning, but then when you can just sit there and stay conscious with your breath and fight the thoughts or allow the thoughts and not embrace them. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. And then the mats here that you see out, those I'm planning to start a morning yoga flow before I'm even conscious and just open my body up and start doing this thing. They actually have a class that I really admire at my gym and it's called Morning Mobility. And literally it's like you could take somebody that's 80 and put them in that class. So you can it's literally like waking up and just stretching your body and moving around very gently. You're not in all the warrior series or any of that, but it's literally like you're seated and you're stretching up. It's like you wake up, you do all these things and you're like opening your body intuitively and it's great. So adapting something like that where I'm moving my body physically while I'm in a state where I'm not thinking. And because if I wake up, I'll think about all the things that I fear, which is so weird. I've been noticing, like, I think about things I fear, think about the things that I lack as a human and where I want to be. And all of those fears flood in first, which I'm like, wow, I really need to do some training because, yeah, the other side of my brain is all like happy, positive. Like, look at the gratitude, look at my life through the lens of gratitude and see how much I have. And then I'm like, wow, like these are the things how I fucked up and I want to, make peace with these things, So it's interesting, man. The mind is it's tricky. So I'll work on those and I'll tell you a little bit more about it. But
so let me dig a little bit. Like what fears? Like what are you getting blasted with when you wake up?
All right, so 2 years ago, I had a friend who was, we'd known each other for 3 years and had always told me about these investments he does and blah, blah. Long story short, he'd been talking about different investments and showing me, fake credentials on what they're getting back and they're mining diamonds and they're doing this and blah, blah. And he scammed me after 3 years of friendship I was shocked. I just didn't see it coming because, he's been doing this for so long and he got 50,000 out of me. And then
Whoa.
Through that process, yeah, it was a big deal. And then, so I got somebody else to invest with me and then, which is part of his, his Ponzi scheme. And then I get sued by my friend who I, got invested in, and then he, you know, watched me get sued. And it's just the breakdown in loyalty and human connection, and watching someone pretend to be your friend for so long. It was so rattling and mind blowing that it was a shock to my system to be able to rationalize a human doing that. And it was so rough to experience. Say again?
Especially one so close to you too, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. You know,
just some random up to like human nature.
Yeah.
But you had this connection, you know?
Right. It was completely, yeah, it was so rough. So fighting that and learning to be strong mentally over the last 2 years has been a very big challenge, and having to decide things to right that. You know, there was a lawsuit involved. I mean, at the end of the day, there was $190,000 that went out of my pocket because of this whole thing. So it's like, it was just, you know, and then, okay, so I can share, so that's a number, but what do you associate with the number? The number is associated to the time that it took me to save that. Right. So if you look at that and you go, oh, you just took 3.5 years of my life, like to save that much money, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, or I mean, it was part of my savings, you know? And so it was what I, you know, I'd worked for. So it just, it's a trick, man. It's a very interesting part of society where if you're too emotional and too empathetic, then you're going to get taken by people that are not, they see you as a target. So
absolutely,
waking up with those kind of fears, that's what I would think about. And I would, you know, and then I looked it up. I looked about the psyche of arguing with the ego and how you would do it versus what they did to you. You'll never win that argument because you're a different person, and you're like, I can't believe this person would do that. This is normal decency. This person completely disregarded those things and took advantage. And it's a weird loop, man. It's a very unhealthy loop, and it got me for a while. And I've worked on my mental health since then. And the meditations and the practices have helped. I mean, I admit, like, there's not too many days go by where, because he lives so close, you know, there's not a lot of days go by where I think, I'm like, God, how do I get him back? You know? And it's yeah, all the dark thoughts. So it's just, it's a struggle, man. It's a struggle. So you have to think about, go ahead.
Well, go ahead.
No, when you just have to, like, the lesson I learned in it was just that if you think about what you can create beyond this and look back at it, and it'll be a smaller number, then you know, in 10 years, that 3 years of time is not going to be as much. Right now it sucks, but you know, this will be a bump. If I never repeat it again, we're good. So
it's definitely a hard lesson to learn. And obviously one that you probably would have not paid that much money to learn, you know, just, we could have learned this another way. But again, the Chinese farmer, it's like, we don't really know everything that this event is. Yeah, exactly. What this event is connected to, you know, maybe in 10 years that you'll be able to see it differently. I don't know. Maybe not.
I'm going to call you in 10 years. If I don't see it differently, I'm going to be mad at you.
That's fine. I'm not charging you for this session.
Oh, thank you. Okay, cool. Perfect.
But you wake up, it seems like you're waking up with more anger, like a vengeful feeling rather than a regretful feeling. Or is it some sort of cocktail of...
Ooh, that's a good one. It's a cocktail. Yeah, you think of yourself as an idiot for believing someone, and you know, think of how you could possibly, you know, make steps to recover. I mean, you know, you've already going through those loops over and over. It's a cocktail.
Yeah. I you know, you're not the only one. There's a lot of people that have been scammed. I've been scammed plenty of times in crypto. I think it happens to the best of us. And I've definitely felt those feelings before.
Mm-hmm.
You're an idiot. Look at all these red flags.
Yeah.
Why didn't you do them? And then there's a whole, what's $5,000? Like I lost $5,000 trying to buy a crypto miner from a Russian website. So that was painful. But then it's like, what's $5,000? How I can make that in one video gig, Well, I should just focus on that. Poo me,
Yeah, exactly.
190 but the mentality is the same, I think.
Yeah. Focusing on what you can create. Because actually I did that today. I mean, it's not really a day that it doesn't get me. But it's, I thought about it today. I'm like, okay, $1,000. Like, do I make that in a day of work? Like, how many days? Like, would I make up this $5,000? That I was thinking about something about $5,000 earlier today. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, how do I rationalize that? It hurts if you just look at the number, but if you put the number in perspective, it's just comforting ourselves. There's no benefit to it, but it's like, if you can keep yourself from getting beat down by that moment, then it's better. So anyway.
Yeah. And also that event, that person have already taken enough from you, right? They've already taken a substantial amount of money. Why give them any more? Why give them any more psychic energy? Why give them any of your, because when you think about that and you're stuck in that loop, this goes back to the manifesting woo-woo. It's like wherever you place your energy and your focus.
Yep.
Well, that's what that's basically how the algorithms in social media work.
Mm-hmm.
How long do you post? How many times have you liked this type of post? We're going to show you more of that.
Mm-hmm.
That's how reality works. The more you think about a thing or whatever, the more it comes back, right? So if you are just, saturated in regret, man, how did he screw me over? He was a good friend of mine, blah, blah, blah. Look at all that energy. You're just spilling it everywhere.
Yeah.
Rather than actually, I'm going to vampire your energy, and I'm going to take that energy that is regret, that is remorse, that is anger, that is, all that. And I'm actually going to transmutate it into creativity.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is the best outcome if you were to do that.
Okay. Combine that with some Wim Hof. Let's go.
One thing, what we were talking about earlier, the many different, things that we were talking about. One thing that was popping in my head was, what do you think that you see a lot of identity transformations being a hairdresser? And if so, do you think that has influenced you on how you think about your own identity?
Give me that first part again. How people see hairdressers in general?
No, so as a hairdresser, you see people come in and they have an identity transformation via the hair, right? Like I cut my hair, I have the side shaved or whatever. And that was a big deal, going from what I had for 10 years, shave the sides. It's a new Colton, right? So you see this identity, and you see it all the time. Girls can change their color of their hair. Guys are shaving it, or they're styling it different. And then you witnessing that over and over and over again, how these people think of themselves one way, and something as simple as a haircut, they change their identity and the way they think about themselves this way. Has that affected you at all about how you think of your own identity?
That's a great question. I would say yes, but I haven't consciously thought about it as much. I think that I'm witnessing it so much, and then it gives me all the license freedom to evolve my look and my character. I do happen to love change. I love shifting things. I love trying new things. So yes, but yeah, I don't. I'm like currently like evolving my style and like just how I dress and things, and adding to it. And so I don't know. It's a great question. I think it's affecting me, but I'm not I'm not present to, I can't think of anything that would say, yes, if I did this, it would help my ability to transform others, like except for what I talk about and how I present myself as evolving constantly as well. So if I look the same and I ask you to change, it doesn't really translate well. But if I'm, constantly pushing the envelope and coming in and wearing pants that look like your grandma's curtains, then it's like, okay, cool. Like he's shifting things up and moving,
Right.
which I do that often. So, I think I'm living it out, and I don't necessarily have I don't know how it affects me, but it's definitely something that I live for.
Yeah. I mean, I know you as a hairdresser, barber type person, and then one of my best friends, Tucker Taylor, and you guys have a very similar energy. And so I get to thinking, I think, what came first? Was it their internal energy that drew them to this lifestyle, or was it the lifestyle that pulled them in? And because you're exposed to that, there's something about a barber that they just have a strange energy about them. People tell them things that they probably shouldn't tell them. You see a lot of, for me particular, when I go to Tucker, I leave more confident. I feel like, I look good. I feel fresh. You know? That's some sort of weird magic. You could give people, you can imbue a woman with a newfound confidence just because of how you've shaped her hair, or how you've, what sort of things do you do with curly hair?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it is also if it's just the physical, cool. If it's a physical and the mental, emotional, better. If you throw in spiritual, and when they're in the sink bowl and you're doing some Reiki on them consciously, or aligning a chakra with a hot Japanese stone or whatever, there's other ways of having an experience that are beyond the hair changing form.
Do you do this?
Yeah, I do. If you book an appointment, you can also too get your, you get your ponytail rearranged and your chakra. So
was that a threat?
I will rearrange your goddamn ponytail and chakras. Be more afraid of the chakras, though. To me, it's a holistic experience. It's everything in one, and yet we only look at parts of it that we're aware of. So the more we're aware of, the more we can affect. And so when people come in, they're looking at one thing, and I'm looking at three, and I talk about the third one. They kind of sometimes look at me with the side eye, and I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm here for a haircut. I'm like, okay, yeah, you're going to get that. You're going to get that, but also more. Yeah.
More in a sense, like you were saying earlier, you're more of a feel type of guy. And so a client comes in, and are you sensing some sort of, sadness on them? And so now you start to like address that, like while you're doing this duty of, hairdressing, you like slide in and say like, what's been going on? And you're like kind of trying to pull that out of them. Is that kind of what you mean?
Yeah, it's like, and also like even less direct than that. You don't even have to ask. You just start talking to them, and then you ask it's like on the sports talk where they have like 1 minute and they can talk about one thing for the next minute and then it goes down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. The main theme is there in my mind. And then I'm going to ask you questions about normal things that you won't set off the alarms, that you won't know that I'm going to get to that. But this one theme is what I'm going for. So I'll start with like lifestyle. I'm like, oh, cool. What are you up to? Like, how do you like to self-care? And be like, oh, you don't self-care. Okay, so like what is, ask questions that are right around the corner to the actual thing I want to talk about, so that they don't feel invaded on. They don't feel that I'm actually like, so let's put our finger right on the button. Let's let's talk about fingers. And you know what I mean? Something like that, where you're getting to connect with them, and then you're relating to them. And if I see any hesitancy, I can see a time where I can then be more vulnerable and share with them, so that they feel connected with, and then we get back to the comfort zone where we can continue down the path of discovering, what's going on with this person. And usually through the lifestyle conversation, I'll understand the pain point, or the struggle or the challenge. So it's a very, the more I learn about psychology, the more tools I have to be able to connect with my client. And emotional intelligence has been my number one study, and then different psychological states of being. And my recent one, I've been reading The Body Keeps Score, which is a psychological foundation. For somatic healing. Therapy through the body's memory of a trauma. And instead of going through your thoughts, you're going, bottom up instead of top down. Bottom up would be like, okay, let's, how do you feel about this? Oh, okay, you're in this moment. Where do you feel it in your body? What's going on? Where do you feel tension? Do you feel any, like figuring out how your body's reacting to it? And then there's different exercises of like, using your voice, shaking things out, tapping into it and pushing through it, but more through the physical and through the feelings, not the thoughts, not trying to logically correct a thought through what they call cognitive behavioral, which is like 90% of talk therapy.
Right.
So yeah, it's interesting. What?
Cognitive behavioral, like it is effective, but it's not like a one-all shop,
Yeah. If you're more of a feeler, then cognitive behavioral is going to be like X, Y, binary, wah, 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 and then you're like, oh, color, shape, texture. Okay. Yeah, this is the type of feeling I get from this situation. It makes me want to shut down and feel this way and protect this side of me because that's where I hold a wound. Versus, logic and situations. It's just a different way of expressing it and tapping into it. So, yeah, I like to be able to do someone's, physical transformation while building a space of trust and vulnerability with them and leading that vulnerability so they can follow along and be and be able to find some healing in that. That's the main goal. The hair is secondary. I work with people and energy, and the hair is like, the hair will get done if you're good at hair. But yeah. So my main focus is the connection and the healing. So
and it almost seems like you don't have a choice. Like if someone walks in with a vibe, you get to feel it.
Yeah. That's a good thing to pick up on, man, because a lot of people just think, oh yeah, you just like talk all day and like it's probably fun, right? You like, blah, and I'm like, if you knew what it was like to be a feeler and then somebody comes in with a ton of uncomfortable feelings and you're not trained on how to separate feelings from logic and remove yourself when it becomes too heavy. Right. I mean, hairdressers isolate on the weekends sometimes because they're so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Therapists, all that.
I've been trying my buddy, the barber, to come on the podcast. And it's like, come on, sit down and talk with me for 3 hours and do it. And it's like, I've literally been at the shop from 9 a.m. till 9 p.m.
Yeah.
Talking to people and taking in people's energies and, one after the other. He's like, I'm absolutely wiped. I'm like, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. I try to know when someone's career, when I'm asking someone to perform their career on their off time, and I make sure I don't, yeah. I'm like, yeah, doctor, you want me to send you my test results? I know we're at the Yucatan Grill just chatting it up, but how about I send you my results right now? And like, no, actually, thanks.
Right.
So
no, that my dad was a doctor, and there'd be so many times, like at football games, like my football game, he's trying to enjoy the game, and someone's like, hey, my foot's been kind of hurting. Just trying to get some advice.
Yo, hey, I could, my foot's been hurting, and I think I need to jam it up your ass for saying anything.
Right. Schedule an appointment, bro.
No, exactly, though. Yeah, respect the boundaries and time. Like, we're energy beings, and there's feelings and thoughts, but if we think of ourselves more holistically, And we go into each situation thinking there's a physical world, and then there's an energetic feeling, and then there's a spiritual struggle. I think we end up having more grace on people that are struggling because we don't know what's going on in their life. Even if they freaked out and it was inconvenient, like, I don't really know what you're going through. It's not going to make my life any better if I yell back. I can just hold a space and, be present, which I've noticed these cold exposures to link back is it builds your patience. Like, yeah, you're just calmer. It's easier. You're easygoing.
So. I think it develops your capacity to like process a high amount of stress or a high amount of energy, I guess is the word we could use. So if you do come into contact with someone that's very energetic, we'll say, and you are taking that in, like the energy is coming to you, or vice versa, it's getting pulled from you, either one will make you tired, will fatigue you. Somehow the ice bath allows for that capacity to be expanded to where you can take more. I don't know how or why, but I agree. I've also felt that as well via the ice.
Yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, I've got some lower temperatures to explore and some meditative breathing before our second review.
Yes,
our second visit.
No, I want you to talk to Casey about the ayahuasca because I think you two would hit it off.
Yeah,
you guys are.
Is your older or younger brother?
Younger.
Okay, cool. How old is he?
He's turning 30 this year.
Oh wow, cool. Man, I wish I had done it at his age. That's so cool.
Yeah. Never too late. How old are you?
38.
You're like 21? You're 38? You look fantastic for 38.
Man, thank you so much. Swipe up for my link for face masks, serums, and skincare products.
Well, subscribe right now.
Yeah, right now.
For as long as I've known you, you've definitely had a calming aura, like a calming personality, like very like, yeah, it's all right. Which I think reflects in the physical aspect as well. Like you're not stressing out all the time.
No.
I got a Snapchat from you and you're like living in a van, snowboarding in Colorado. I'm like, this guy's fine.
That's right. That's right. That was good. That was really good. Yeah. I mean, honestly though, so I was talking to my Leo sister. Leos are like the top of the food chain of the jungle, and they're a fire sign. It's a very it can be aggressive, but it's more about they just think they're right. Like they're just going to come off like, well, I'm right. Of course, it's my thought. So pros and cons, of course, but it's just it's an interesting. It's a very strong, blunt approach to life situations, and for her, she's stressing out and everything needs to be controlled and figured out. I'm the easygoing air sign, the Aquarius, that it's there's emotions, but we're like the beacons, and we go between people and we feel vibes. So literally, as a hairdresser, we're the energy beacon between people, and that's exactly what our sign does. And with that, I always have been telling her, like, I see her aging, and I'm like, if you didn't worry as you were going through life stresses, you can't take away life stresses, but if you go through them in a calmer state, and I've always said for 10 years, I'm like, I hope you like having a calm day. It sounds weird. It's like, why I gotta be calm? But being calm through these ice baths, it's been teaching me about being calm and going through difficult situations, not releasing cortisol. If you can minimize that as much as you can, your body will last longer, So anyway, I'm learning.
In fact, I was saying, the other night I was in the ice bath and I was like, you're doing 2 minutes, Mel, which I'd only been doing one. Like tonight you're doing 2. At the 1 minute mark, like I start to like, oh man, I'm freaking out. Yeah. What am I going to do? So I start pumping myself up. So I'm shouting. I'm like, you're not kidding out. We are staying in here for another hour if we have to, Terrible idea. Absolutely terrible. Because I don't know if it was like the redirection of energy. I was just expending so much. It made it so much harder. The longer I yapped, the harder it got, until I just was like, okay, I'm going to stop that.
Yeah.
Back. And I just went back to the breathing, went back to like focusing on the cold, and it wasn't so hard. But I was really surprised because you're in the gym and, let's go. We're going to get this. It definitely helps,
Right.
Same with rolling. Hey, dude, get this dude off you. Get on top of him and choke him out. That sort of, I don't know, high energy, almost anger type of energy.
Yeah. Adrenaline.
God help.
Yeah.
Adrenaline doesn't help with the ice bath. It's a negative.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Okay.
You got to go zen.
So if you're zen through different situations, like, I don't know, I would like to see if adrenaline and cortisol are related, because the release of cortisol when you're having an adrenaline spike, it makes sense that it would be, but I would like to, let's check in with Huberman Labs and find out, because I mean he's seems very well studied in that. But in general, now that I'm understanding cortisol release through stress and keeping yourself calm through life situations, okay, what about in the gym, not hitting those big spikes, instead just solidly powering through, calmly powering through. So so smiling is related to dopamine release, and what's the other one? Not dopamine, but endorphins. Serotonin and endorphins, exactly. So in general, you're releasing these different ways that the body is benefiting. And through smiling, when you're sick or when you're depressed or when you're down, if you just smile, you force yourself to smile like over and over. Like I've learned, you get more release of serotonin that helps you smile. So the more it's not fake it till you make it, but this one it is, like the more that I smile, the more that it helps my body get in that zone where I'm happy. And so then I'm thinking, how do I apply? This is just 2 days ago. I'm having these thoughts. I'm like, okay, so how can I apply that to cortisol release and keeping that at a low state? So in the gym, when I'm like, in this face is like an aggression face or a tension face, that's got to be released, linked to the release of some endorphins that are coming out in maybe cortisol, maybe, I don't know, I haven't studied it yet, but if smiling releases serotonin and things like this that are happy, what is grimacing? So I don't know. I just think I started doing that and being calm in my lifts, and I don't know. That's more to be discovered. Maybe we'll check back in and I'll have a little fact sheet for us, but we can have our own Huberman lab.
That is very interesting, honestly, because isn't it like what energy that you want to tap into?
Yeah.
Do you want to tap in? Are you an Avatar Last Airbender fan?
Not necessarily, but let's go.
I can't make that reference. Okay, I'll try to make it. But so Zuko is a firebender, and through the whole series, he's like a prominent firebender, can produce huge flames. Mm-hmm. Very, very angry guy, very angry character. Mm-hmm. Character arc he goes through, he gets to this certain level where he kind of undergoes a transformation, releases the anger, but then can't firebend anymore. And basically it's because of his source where he was pulling his energy from is no longer there. And so he go through another transformation of finding a different source, a better source, a more healthy source energy. So that's kind of what it made me think of with you, to where, I have too, have been in the gym throwing kettlebells or whatever. And I have to go to that like 8th grade pissed off Colton because his girlfriend broke up with them. And I got to access that energy, that vengeful. I'm a Scorpio, so I love secret vengeance. I happen into that, but essentially the I don't know. It's not quite the opposite energy, but one that's a source of energy that I think is probably more powerful. Maybe we'll have to test this, like you said. We'll have to go to the gym and be just like happy and in love. Just. I love lifting weights. This is so much fun. And see if we can produce more. Like if it's a more efficient. It has to be. It has to be. Anger seems like such a fast burning
And also,
which is
yeah. Okay, sorry to cut you off. I was thinking if you're bringing anger into your presence, in your being, then and what does that do? Like that energy is tense, right? They have those
right.
things where they measure like a smooth wave. You know, remember those like water droplets when you're like speaking calm energy to it, and then they like look at it in a microscope. You know, I think one of them was proven fraudulent, or it was disproven. The Japanese water.
Tell me that.
I
love
know.
that.
I love that one. You know, speak love to your plants. I'm sure they love it, but basically the idea that, you know, if you're bringing energy and that tension into your body, you're associating with that, and your brain's associating other things that are with that. They're not going to be longevity type supplements. You know, supplement your life with happy and calm and enjoyment. You know, and it's like, look, if you could go every day and like. It's like putting on boots and gloves and gritting out construction work all day, right? That some people love it, and they're like, "Yeah, I did that. Good work," you know. And then I'm over here, and I put my Gucci loafer on, and I slide into my toes into some fur. I don't really have Gucci's, but you know what I mean. Like my world is style. It's not, you know, construction, right? So it's different energies or whatever, but I'm saying, I don't know. I'd love to look up some facts on that and see longevity. Can that firebender sustain that energy longevity and not affect them? Like, or is the happiness better for the body overall? I mean, it makes sense to me that the happiness would win, but I like that you brought that Avatar reference.
I highly recommend it. Very good show. I feel, yeah, I agree that probably, you know, a calm, energy based in love or energy based in, you know, sacrifice or whatever is probably going to be more healthy for you in the long term. But then I'd also say, in my opinion, I would think each situation is different. And it's like, what energy do you want to access right now? Dude, you're getting carjacked. Probably access age energy, probably.
Yeah.
Versus you just lost a beach volleyball game. Well, you access this is just for fun, and you know, what can I learn from this? And
like, don't get those two tied up, mixed up. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't recommend it. You know, not good outcomes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's just about what situation you're in and what energy what glass do you want to break?
Yeah. Yeah.
And be careful too, because I think energy, whatever energy that we're using this word a lot, or I'm using this word a lot, but I don't care. Whatever energy that you are transmutating or whatever you're channeling, it's going to take a toll. It's going to take a toll. They have different frequencies. And so maybe rage and anger and stuff like that's like really energetic, not sustainable for a healthy lifestyle, but good for a pinch, you know, good for and love is much more sustainable. It flows and it glides and it's gentle and it's much more sustainable. Maybe not nearly as powerful. I don't know. Probably could be. Don't know. But very interesting thought. I'm actually fascinated that you brought that up.
I'm gonna send you a song after this to remind you. It's called "The Power of Love," and it was on Back to the Future. It was such a good one. It's Huey Lewis. Yeah. I love that I remember that one. But you're going to be like, oh my gosh. Is the power of love stronger than rage? No, I'm just kidding.
I think so.
How
many great leaders and our great thought, our spiritual leaders have said that over and over? Buddha and Jesus, all of those sorts of characters.
Buddha, Jesus, Hitler.
Did he say that?
I mean, Hitler was more on the rage side, but I mean, I'm guessing, you know.
Did he say that?
No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
I mean, it's been a while since I've read Mein Kampf, but I mean,
you know, just some light reading on the weekends. I got to revisit. So, well, yeah. Dude, great getting some time with you and getting to catch up. I like this format, even it's like a way of relating to each other and with forward thinking and what we want to grow into and what we're learning. So
these podcasts are really powerful to revisit, like for you and me to revisit.
Okay.
And this, what did we talk about? And you'll hear yourself say things that you don't remember saying, which can be good or bad.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things that you can revisit, where be like, oh, he did mention this book or he did mention this thing, and you can revisit that, especially when you're in the dumps.
Okay.
When you're not feeling great, you haven't done your ice bath, just come back and listen to a piece of this, and it's awesome about remotivating yourself. At least that's how I did before.
Appreciate that. That's cool.
Yeah. But
all right.
Thank you for spending some time, even though we had a little bit of a hiccup.
Hey, I appreciate it. That was great. So yeah, I'll pull some helpful and fun new discoveries for our next edition.
I am looking forward to it.
Cool. Me as well.
Well, thanks for hanging out with me. Everybody that's listening or watching, go check out Dustin you're very active on Instagram, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
I'm getting back there. I'll say this. I used to be more active, and I've but there's some fun stuff. There's so much. There's fun stuff on there.
Okay, yeah, go check him out on Instagram. Is it your name, Dustin Berlin?
Yeah, Dustin Berlin.
Dustin Berlin. Go check him out on Instagram. Hit him up. If you got curly hair, here's your guy. We'll take care of you.
There we go. All right.
All right. I love you. Thanks for hanging out, man.
Love you too, brother. Right on.
Talk to you soon.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks for listening to SciFi And Friends podcast, episode number 79. Yeah, it was a good one. Another remote one, another learning experience. Check out the new camera. If you look at the first remote podcast that I had, it was 720. This is 4K, so it's all a learning experience, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm happy to have you along for the ride. Hope you're enjoying it. Hit me up. Let me know what you think, and have a great week. Peace.
SciFi Friends.